What's up, everybody? We're doing our Week 12 picks today because we will not be here Wednesday through Friday to get the rest of the picks. So we've got all kinds of games. We got the Thanksgiving games coming up on the NFL. But first off, for our college games, we got number 6 Oklahoma Sooners versus number 9 West Virginia Mountaineers. Oklahoma is a 1.5-point favorite. West Virginia lost last week. Oklahoma won. Barely won 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma State. Well, West Virginia lost last week to Oklahoma State. Who do you got here, Brennan?
I think these are two teams with great high-powered offenses, but I'm going to say Oklahoma just because of their defense. I think Oklahoma's defense is just a little bit better than West Virginia, and I think that they'll pull this game out.
Yeah, I do think Oklahoma's going to win in this close game. I do not think Will Grier and the rest of the Mountaineers are going to have what it takes to stop them. I think Oklahoma doesn't make the college football playoffs. I think they're the first one out, but I do think they get this one here. Up next, we got number 18, Washington versus number 8, Washington State. Washington State is a 3-point favorite. Coach Mike Leach and the crew, Gardner Minshew, the quarterback. Who do you got here, Brendan?
I'm going to say Washington State. I think that this air raid offense is too much for the Washington secondary, which has struggled all year.
Yeah. I do think Mike Leach and the crew get it done. I think it will be a lot more close than what people will think. Washington isn't a bad team by any means. They've just had a lot of slow games, like you said. The secondary is a little bit off. But I do think Gardner Minshew and Washington State get it done here. Up next, number 4, Michigan versus number 10, Ohio State. Michigan is a 4-point favorite in this game. Shea Patterson and the gang have not done a lot offensively, but they've got a lot of stuff done. Ohio State has lost a couple. Who do you got here, Brendan?
I'm going to pick an upset here, and I'm going to say Ohio State. And for no reason that I don't think that Ohio State's a better team. I think these are two evenly matched teams. I'm just going to predict that Ohio State has a better day today.
I do think Ohio State's going to have a really good game, especially at home. But I do think Shea Patterson and Michigan and Coach Harbaugh are going to get it done. I do not think Ohio State is as good as what people think they are. I do agree that it will be close and they'll have a good game, but I do think Michigan pulls this one out. Up next, we got 4 straight kind of rivalry games to end our college games. First, number 7 LSU versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 1.5-point favorite at College Field. Kind of surprised me a little bit. Who do you got here, Brennan?
LSU easily. Texas A&M is the worst college football team in all of college football. Just kidding, but in all seriousness, LSU. That's all I have to say.
A&M finally got a SEC home win a couple weeks ago against Ole Miss, I think. But I do not think they can get it done here against LSU. I think LSU is too good of a team. Kellen Mond has struggled a little bit. They won against UAB last week, but at home. But I do think LSU gets this win. It'll be a pretty close loss, but I do think LSU wins. Up next, another rivalry game. Auburn versus number 1, Alabama. Alabama, 24-point favorite. Do we even need to say that we pick Alabama here?
I pick Auburn. I'm just kidding. I'll pick Alabama.
Yeah.
I hope this is like the Auburn-Alabama game from, 3 years ago where they ran the field goal back for the win?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5.
Crazy. But, yeah, Chris Davis did return that field goal back for a touchdown. One of probably the greatest college football game ever that I've witnessed. But I do think Alabama wins by probably more than 24. They were tied with the Citadel at 13 all at halftime, but then got things done. That gave Nick Saban an excuse to tell his team they're garbage and get a little more motivation in them. But I do think Alabama wins huge in this one. Up next, number 13, Florida versus Florida State. Florida's a 4.5-point favorite. Florida State has had a really rough season, but they've kind of picked it up a little bit. They're at 5-6 right now. Need one more game to get a bowl game. And Florida has done a little bit better, but still not as good as they were at the beginning. Who do you got here, Brandon?
When it comes to rivalry games and for bowl clinching games, you really can't look at a team's past for look at how good they're going to play. I think any team, they're all college athletes. They're all good players. They have the ability to step it up if they need to. And I think this is going to be a really close game. This is hard to say, but I still have to go with Florida here, even though this is a close game. But I think Florida State will impress some people with the fight they put up.
I do think the Seminoles are going to put up a good fight, and the Gators are also going to put up a good fight. But I think Florida State is going to somehow pull out with this one. Like you said, fighting for a bowl game puts a lot of motivation in a team. They've struggled, but they had a really good game last week. I think they beat Boston College is who they beat, I think. And Boston College is a pretty good team, ranked 20th right now, only 3 losses on the year. But I do think Florida State is going to get a good win over Florida. I think it'll be kind of something they're going to fight for and say, hey, we've been preparing for this game all year. We're going to get a win here no matter what the score says, or the predictors say. Up next, we got our final college game, the Baylor Bears versus Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech is a 7-point favorite in Lubbock, but they have struggled quite a bit. Quarterbacks have been doing awful. Jet Duffy, terrible kind of guy playing the quarterback position, and not good things for Texas Tech. Baylor has had a meh kind of season too, but not as what Texas Tech has been. Brendan, who do you got here?
All I can say is that this is the battle of the dumpster fires. That's what this game should be called. Baylor and Texas Tech both having very disappointing years.
Yeah.
These years that both teams were expected to bounce back a little, have above 500 seasons, and both these teams do not look like that at all.
Only one of them will have a chance to be over 500 and get a bowl game. Kind of what we said here, and your pick is?
Baylor.
Yeah, I have to go with Baylor here, too. I do not think Texas Tech has what it takes. Quarterback Nick Gerber from Levelland has a chance to play, according to Coach Cliff Kingsbury, but Coach Cliff Kingsbury should be out of a job relatively soon, and Texas Tech should be going in a different direction. But I do think Baylor gets it done because
the Art Briles direction.
Yeah, I don't think Texas Tech is gonna win. They don't have anything to fight for. The way they played behind their quarterbacks last week was not good, and just a disappointing season.
What a waste of a great defense. The best defense Texas Tech has ever had, and the offense cannot deliver this year.
Yeah, most definitely. And for our NFL games, you got the 3 Thanksgiving Day games. First, we got the 7-3 Chicago Bears, who won Sunday Night Football the other night over the Minnesota Vikings, and the 4-6 Detroit Lions, who won a pretty good game last week against the Panthers. Chicago is a 3.5-point favorite. Who do you got here, Brendan?
Bears easily. I think this is one of the first games that is going to be a blowout on Thanksgiving night. I can expect you to change the channel on this game Thanksgiving night to another game. This is going to be easily the worst game of the week.
I do not think it's gonna be the worst game of the week, as you'll see in a couple of minutes. But I do think the Lions, they always play really well on Thanksgiving, and I think they're gonna kind of surprise the Bears here. The Bears, they need a little bit more effort from the receiving core. Allen Robinson and Trey Burton were really a non-factor. Mitchell Trubisky had to use some other options like Anthony Miller and stuff like that. I do think the Lions are going to get a win. Matthew Stafford has been playing really good as of lately. They were 3-6 last week, and then they beat a Panthers team that I think is kind of better than the Bears. So I think the Lions get a pretty decent win at home. Up next are another Thanksgiving game. The Washington Redskins 6-4 versus the Cowboys 5-5. Dallas is a 7.5-point favorite at home, like they should be. Alex Smith broke his fibula last week. Colt McCoy, the quarterback, and we know how Colt McCoy plays for the Redskins, and so I think this is going to be an easy win for the Cowboys.
And not only that, I think the Cowboys would win right here with Alex Smith.
I think so too.
From the past 2 games, what I've seen Dak Prescott and this offensive coordinator start to turn the offense around, and Dak looks like he's actually reading defenses. It looks like he actually knows what he's doing out there. The play calling is not as atrocious as it has been all year. And I think that
that's for one reason. They're choosing to feed Zeke is what they need to do the rest of the year. Zeke had over 200 yards last week. Incredible job by him, and he did what he needed to do.
I think the Cowboys are going to really turn their year around right here. They're very lucky that they have the opportunity to turn the year around and to win this game and basically tie up first place in the division. And they could still win this division, and they could still have a great year. Yeah.
They'll be ahead of the winner of this game will be the leader in the division. So I do think the Cowboys win this game and are the front runner to come out of the NFC East. Giants are still something. I'm thinking they have a chance. But I think the Eagles and the Redskins are both done out of this. Up next, speaking of, we got the 3-7 New York Giants versus the 4-6 Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles played terrible against the Saints last week. Giants got a very close win, and Philly's a 5.5-point favorite at home. But who do you got here, Brandon?
I think Philly, this game is important for the Giants because the Giants have to win out to make the playoffs. And I think if Philly... I think that they come out, they know that they're probably not going to make the playoffs either. I think Philly comes out and just says, let's just beat this team and end their hopes.
Yeah. You think that?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia wins this game.
I think the Giants have a chance to win out here and maybe make the playoffs. I think the Cowboys are going to get in their way here. I do not think the Eagles are going to be a problem. Saquon Barkley is playing incredible, and if Eli can just get it to Odell or Saquon, this team will be fine on the offensive side of the ball. And I do think the Giants get a close win and kind of surprise the Eagles here and show some people that the Eagles were kind of a fluke last year. Up next, we got the 5-5 Miami Dolphins versus the 5-5 Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck is back. Incredible blowout win against the Titans last week. Dolphins had a bye last week, so not much we see from them. Indianapolis is 7.5-point favorite. Who do you got here, Brandon?
This may be the worst game of the week because this is the game of the average teams. Well, no, this won't be the worst game of the week because this will be an actually close game. I'm going to say the Dolphins here just because I think they have more overall talent. I think their wide receiver core, they have one of the best wide receiver cores in the league right now. I think that they're going to have – that wide receiver core is going to have a good game.
And I do think the Colts are going to get this game. I think Andrew Luck has played incredible, and he will be getting the most improved player, no doubt about it. And I do think he's played incredible. So I think the Colts here. We missed a game real quick. The 9-1 New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons, which will be our last game to cover real quick. The 4-6 Falcons have played awful. Lost to the Cowboys last week. Saints whooped the Eagles. I think we're both going to pick the Saints here, no doubt. Drew Brees is incredible. Win a Thursday night game for Thanksgiving. And that's all we have for today. I thank you for listening. Have a great Thanksgiving. We're B&J Productions. We will see you next week.